Today I bring you a very uncommon way of creating chord progressions that can lead you to use scales you never knew existed. This is the Neo-Riemannian approach to chord theory. So what does Neo-Riemannian even mean? Well, it's a non-diatonic approach to chord relations proposed by modern music theorists such as David Lewin. He took the ideas of Hugo Riemann about a system of transformations that related triads directly to each other. Now don't worry, I'm going to keep it simple, but if you're interested into deep Riemannian theory and other kinds of music theory, we can continue this discussion on my Discord. Everyone is welcome. I gotta say I love sharing things that I'm passionate about, and if you appreciate that, please give a like to the video and also consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much. The theory is basically that any triad, that is a chord consisting of 3 notes, can transform into another by the least amount of movement, that is moving only 1 note. Now in a chord, the third states if the chord is major or minor, and we can transform one into the other by moving it, by 1 semitone. In the case of C major, we can transform it into C minor by moving E into E flat. This is what's called a parallel chord. The parallel chord of C major is C minor and vice versa. So this movement is called parallel. Now, if we go back to C major and we move the 5th 1 tone up, we create the relative minor of C major. That's why this movement is called relative. The thing is, this is the first inversion of A minor. And the last movement we can do is with the first note, the tonic, which is C, into B. This transformation is called leading tone because we are replacing the tonic with the leading tone, the 7th note, and it gives us an E minor with the second inversion. Now I hope it's not too complex, but basically from C major you can go to C minor, or to A minor, or to E minor. Now these transformations go back and forth. That means if from C major you go to C minor, then if you do the parallel transformation, you go back to C major. The same if you do the relative transformation or the leading tone transformation. But it gets interesting if we do a transformation and then we Riemannize that new chord into another transformation, not the same. So let's create a progression. We start with C major, so let's go to the parallel, which is C minor. Then we can transform it into its leading tone, that is A flat major. And to use other function, then we can use the relative minor of A flat major, giving us F minor, which is inverted, of course. This creates a simple progression of 4 chords that actually sounds pretty nice. This video doesn't have presets to give away for patrons and channel members, so I'm going to give the multi-tracks of this small project that I'm working on. You can hear that even if we start with C major, we are not in the scale of C major anymore. We are not even in the regular modes. This is a variant of C Phrygian. And in fact, that F minor at the end is using 1 note that's not part of the scale. It has the mysterious vibe of Phrygian with a little bit of alterations, and it sounds very good. And honestly, with regular chord progression techniques, I wouldn't come up with something like this. Maybe while experimenting or whatnot, but this is so much easier. Now, if you have something like Scalar 3, making this is so much easier. And in fact, I learned how to use this technique thanks to Scalar 3. I know all of this by memory now, but if you don't want to learn the theory, you can just use the plugin. You can see that there are secondary operations, but that will make this video too complex. But still, if you want me to make a follow-up, let me know in the comments. And also, if you want me to make a video about the modulations in Scalar, I can do that too. Now, there's a limitation with this theory, and it's that it only works with triads. And in fact, it may not be a theory to create chord progressions, it's more like thinking about chord relations. But once you build a progression, you can then start adding alterations like sevenths or ninths or changing the inversions and other variations. I see Neo-Riemannian as a way of getting a very interesting basic chord progression that then you can expand with other knowledge. But still, there's nothing wrong with only using triads. This works very good on its own. The beauty of it is that it's not going to give you always things that are part of the same scale, and that will spice up your chord progression game. As the changes are really small, even if we are using chords from other scales, the progression still makes sense. So the invitation is that you experiment with this theory, create your own progressions, and if you want, you can share them with me in my Discord. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time, and bye bye.